Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to a brand new Let's Play for Hearts of Iron 4! The Battle for the Bosporus DLC has dropped, which has added focus trees for Turkey, Greece, and Bulgaria, as well as tweaking some things, I think, with Yugoslavia. We were talking about it on stream the other day, which one we might want to play, and we sort of dug the idea of playing as Bulgaria. They had a really interesting national focus tree. They're a nation that... with some amount of shame, I have to say, I don't know much about. It turns out that the Canuckian educational system doesn't really cover the history of Bulgaria, and in fact, we don't really cover a lot of the history of the sort of Balkan plus area very much. As a result, there's lots of things about this area I don't know, which means this will be a great time for me to kind of just get used to some of the political situations around and some of the geography around, but also there's very likely that I'm going to make some sort of, I'll say stupid things because of a general ignorance about things, and I wanted to make sure that that was clear about it. I don't think we're going to boost the difficulty in any way here, because I think playing as Bulgaria is going to be hella hard from the start. And for recording purposes, I don't usually record with Iron Man. We're going to keep historical AI focuses turned off, and we're going to go and take a look about it. Now, I did go and dabble a little bit with this to try to get an idea about the flow of things here as Bulgaria. Because one of the things, if you're playing a smaller nation, which Bulgaria certainly is, they're not one of the majors, you can sometimes get a little bit stuck with not a lot to do, unless of course you just join one of the big factions and you just sort of, go along with what they're doing, which can be a lot of fun. But to contrast though, like for example, if we're playing in South America, there tends to be a lot more ability for us to do some crazy stuff somewhere along the way. Where here, because the Allies, the Axis, and the Comintern are going to be so active, we will really have to be mostly responsive to what they're doing. What would be lovely is if we could go and create our own faction. There's a couple of different ways to do it. If we decide to go communist, which is a fairly likely thing, I think, we can make the Balkan Federation of Socialist Republics. This would include, to start off with, inviting Yugoslavia to join the party. And Balkan Federation dream decision can be taken by other Balkan countries. So, presumably, these are countries that haven't already maybe joined one of the major factions. It's possible that they could do it even if they've joined a faction. They might decide to leave the Allies, for example, and join me, especially if we are working maybe with espionage things to try to flip them communist. That would be one way to do it. The other one is Balkan Confederation, the faction. This would be a faction of, I guess, diplomacies here. Sends the invite out to Greece, and then we have other decisions available over there. And there you go, the Greater Bulgarian Federation would be another faction there. I think that might be it. This is join the Axis, join the Allies, obviously, and over here it would be join the Comintern. So this is the right-hand side here is the political branch. The two major splits are whether we support the Tsar, who is currently running Bulgaria, or we are opposing the dictatorship of it, in which case there's still a couple of different ways that it can be worked out. So if you go oppose the dictatorship, you go democratic, you can then seek cooperation with the Tsar. So you can keep him around, but, in a diminished capacity, I suppose. Over on the left-hand side are all our industrial things. So there's a split right here. These are two completely disconnected trees. We have to start with acquire modern tools. I guess we're fairly far behind over here. And then from here to the right is all things that boost the military mostly. And then on the left over here, we've got mostly sort of pure, industrial buildings type thing. I think the thing to start off with is just going to be modern tools into road system. One of these two into Expand Sofia University, which gives us a research slot. So with 4 things, they're each 70 days. Yeah. So 4 times 70 days, we can get ourselves an extra research slot. We only start with 3. So that's a 33% boost to our research potential by adding this 4th research slot, which is going to be really huge. And I think we have to prioritize that. Howsoever, there's a bunch of other things in here that are pretty valuable. We're going to talk about our national spirits in a sec, but one of the national spirits we've got, which is not being able to rearm as a result of some post-World War I, plus some other things. I was just checking the wiki timeline. Basically, we're not allowed to build a military in any way whatsoever. So by doing negotiate the Bulgarian rearmament, we then get a series of decisions we can take to lift that problem that we can't rearm. So grabbing that earlier would allow us to start rearming earlier and remove certain penalties. But maybe, I don't know if it's super critical. And all these buttons require a lot of spending of political power. We do this, it unlocks some decisions, and decisions cost 50, then 50, then I think another 50 basically to push through. And it's not guaranteed to work in the first place. So that's a lot invested. We're going to talk a bit more about the rearmament options in a scooch. The flip side is we've got a lot of political work to do inside of our country, and starting on the political branches a little sooner could be very, very, very good. One of the things is we've got 4 internal factions that we're going to be dealing with. Let's take a look at that right now in the decision tree. We've got 4 factions. The first, I'm going to pronounce it as Zveno. Basically, I'm just reading out the English letters as they are. 100% certain that's not how it's pronounced at all, but I'm going to pronounce it Zveno. These are some hardcore sort of militarist people, and if you don't deal with them, they actually might throw a coup to overthrow the government. We've got the broad socialists over here. The agrarian union, so these are like farmers and things like that. There's, right over here. Zveno, nationalist organization funded by army officers. The broad socialists, which are social democrats supporting a broad class alliance. The agrarian union, devoted to questions concerning agriculture. And the national social movement, a far-right organization. So depending on where we go politically, we may want to befriend some or most of these, but probably not all of them. One thing that's kind of interesting here is that the way these mechanics work with the faction management, you can get to the point where you eradicate these factions completely, or you can get to the point where you actually integrate them into your government. So there would no longer be a faction that shows up over here, because you would have brought them in line. They'd be some of your ministers now, and we could do that. If we go, say, communist, we can't do the Nazis. But, well, I suppose we probably could. Okay, here's the deal. There's a bunch of these somewhere. Like, if we want to become communist over here. To become communist, first of all, we need 50% support for the Communist Party. Then we need the broad socialists. They have to either like us or be destroyed or be integrated. And the agrarian union must either like us or be destroyed or be integrated. I think a better example actually would be this. The Fatherland Front. This one's different because the broad socialists, they can't exist. Either they can't exist because they've been destroyed completely, or they can't exist because they've just been integrated as part of the government. And the agrarians must like us, and the Zveno must like us. So you've got a few of these. So depending on where you decide to go, you're going to want to treat them in a few different ways. So here we've got even decisions. So we're going to have decisions over here, but we've got national focuses that can tweak things and also unlock decisions. So dissolve the military union would unlock decisions to help us repress them and eliminate them, or we go cooperate, which would let us boost them and ultimately integrate them into our nation over here. Yeah, it is interesting. The Zveno could go a couple of different ways. Like, you can see here, the Zveno and the National Socialists might be a little bit opposed, but the Zveno can also, when they overthrow the government, could also implement or empower a fascist government. So it's a really complex political tree in here. Now, what would be really cool, and what we talked about when we streamed this, or well, when we loaded up Hearts of Iron on stream and fiddled around and looked around and things, right over here, something like the Balkan Federation of Socialist Republics would be really cool. We'd make our own communist-centric faction, not the common term. The thing with this, though, is we'd probably have to beeline this extremely quickly to try to get people on our side, and that might be really difficult to do. It would be nice because it does get us bury the grudges of the past, which eliminates the second national catastrophe completely, although there's other ways to minimize it. So let's talk about national spirits over here. The second national catastrophe, you can see, is pretty bad. We got a 10% hit to both stability and war support. Not only that, but there's a weekly stability hit as well. You can see it can be removed if we restore Greater Bulgaria. We can also remove it through the focus tree, and we can also minimize some of these penalties through there as well. The penalty to our stability here is going to be a big problem going forward. These army restrictions are horrific as well. Now, it says factory output minus 25%. On the construction screen, I don't see anything that confirms that it impacts us over here. Like, civilian factories are factories, but I'm actually not sure if that's a thing over here. Over here, we can see the 25% hit from the army restrictions. I just don't know if this impacts construction as well. If it doesn't impact construction, I'm less freaked about it. When I initially read it, I thought it impacted civilian factory and our construction speed. But maybe it doesn't, because I guess I guess it probably doesn't, because I don't think civilian factories have an output. They have a construction speed. So I'm thinking army restrictions not going to hurt our civilian production at all. It is pretty annoying that we can't change a bunch of our laws, we can't start wars, we can't train units, we can't even edit templates while this is there. But this will go away at some point. There's two different ways to get rid of it. Well, they're all through decisions, but there's two different orientations. And here we have the IMRO, the Internal Macedonian Revolutionary Organization. So we've got some, depending on who you ask, some people sometimes, depending on decisions we take, refer to them as terrorists, and other times they refer to them as freedom fighters and whatnot. You know, as is, of course, everything is a matter of perspective. But from our perspective, this is a huge pain in the ass, is what this is. We lose out on political power, we've got another hit to stability, although luckily not per week or anything like that. And we're bad at improving relations while this is here, which is kind of annoying. Now, to get rid of the IMRO, this would involve right over here. We've got two options. We can either condemn them or we can support them. Both of these unlock some decisions for us. Now, to fight them, I did take a little peek. The decision that unlocks to help us fight them, we need 2,000 spare manpower to actually be able to proceed with this. So until we can change our manpower laws, which we can't do right now because of the rearmament things, there's not much to be gained over here. Although, it decreases world tension, which I guess is a thing. It does give us stability, which is really nice, and it pays back our political power for running this, which is okay. Also boosts loyalty for 3 of the 4 factions, the 3 that we probably will care about. The flip side over here, yeah, this boosts the National Socialist movement, so I don't think we're going to be going with that. Now, we can go with this whether we oppose the royal dictatorship or give power to the Tsar. I think what we are going to do is we are going to oppose and probably go down the communist branch, because it's mostly what we were talking about. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. In terms of the Zveno, again, we've got a couple of different ways. We can try to dissolve the Zveno, or we can decide to cooperate with them. Dissolving them does give us a boost to stability right away, which is really nice. Like, you just hit this, they'll still be around, they'll be cranky, but we gain some stability, which is really going to be really beautiful for us. On the other hand, there is no reason why we can't do, as far as I can tell, absolutely everything that we want to do over here with the Zveno, and we could integrate. So by the end, we could integrate 3 of the 4 factions into our government, which unlocks more ministers and things like that. And they seem to be pretty good ministers. So what I'm proposing is this. Looking at this and having just dabbled and played with some clicky buttons and things, I propose we do go down the communist branch. We do try to cooperate with the Zveno. We condemn the Macedonians, and we try to build up over there. We're going to see when we get to around here, we're going to have to make a decision as to whether we're joining the Common Term or going independent. And mostly the question is going to be, what has happened with all of our neighbors? I think we're going to do some early espionage as well, and we're going to try to use the espionage to promote communism. Although I don't think we can promote communism until we ourselves are communists. I feel like there's going to be a pacing issue with actually converting the Balkans communist. There might be some tricks that we could do, but that I don't know, but we'll see. In any case, I think it's kind of a no-brainer to go and grab this tech. I think it's too important to leave aside, so we're going to go with it. Oh, what I didn't talk about is, yeah, this army restrictions. So if we go negotiate, I don't think I talked about it. If we grab this, we get some decisions that we can try to convince the United Kingdom to let us rearm early. If that doesn't work out, or if we don't pursue it, there's still this button. We can just refuse the army restrictions. We can hit this button if we are at war, or if we are in a faction that the United Kingdom is not in. So basically, if we join a faction that is not the Allies, more or less, we can just go and abandon the army restrictions. And that will be nice. So we might be able to convince Great Britain. We might not be able to, but we've got this option in a few different ways. So we'll see how that goes. Troop-wise, there's really not much to talk about. We've got 12 divisions over here. They are unbelievably undermanned. We'll just, I don't know, stick you on a border somewhere. We don't really care where we're going to do it. We'll just organize you. We might or exercise you a little bit to get some army experience. We will see. We can assign some leaders now. However, some of these will change. Like I can assign Field Marshal Nikola Mihov over here. I might not even spend this trait, because some of these guys will come and go. Yeah, see, this guy's a Tsar loyalist. So if we depose the Tsar, he's going to go away.
Заповеди, командире!
This also affects Civil War stuff as well. The Tsar loyalists over here, none of these are gonna, none of that's gonna work out. So I'm not gonna worry too much about them. I'll assign them because otherwise people will be like, hey, you didn't assign your leaders. But I don't know how much use they're gonna be. We're gonna do the standard opening for research. We'll grab electronic mechanical engineering to get a research speed boost. And we will go into industry as well. We'll get basic machine tools and construction one over here. For our civilian factories, we are going to build more civilian factories. I'm only going to queue up one right now. These, we're going to get a bunch of decision stuff that increase infrastructure, increase our building cap in a few places. So we'll start building one here, but I think we're going to end up building a bunch more in Sofia relatively soon. But we'll get that started. It is important to note that quite a few of our things over here, for example, increased industry investments requires us to have 16 civilian factories. Utmost optimization requires us to have 26. And have gotten rid of the national catastrophe, but it is quite good because it modifies our ideas to give us a bunch of bonuses and a bunch of, I'm trying to remember, I think it's a bunch of ministers actually get more potent once you get utmost optimization. I think we're going to go down here. The thing is, it is tempting. We could go down the left branch, so this would be foreign capitalists. Now that doesn't sound very communistic, which is probably where we're going to go. On the other hand, it does open up some interesting possible decisions we could do. And ultimately, we can nationalize later on. If we do this, it will upset anyone that might have had some capitalists in here, right? If we get a bunch of, say, German capitalists, and then we nationalize that, that'll piss off the Germans, which we might be okay with. I don't know. We'll make a decision. I'm kind of tempted maybe going down the right-hand branch here, but we'll see. In any case, that is neither here nor there. I think that's everything I want to do at the beginning. I'm not going to set up a spy yet. In terms of trade, well, we have, like, no resources, by the way. Like, 3 aluminum, 1 chromium, and that is it. And we're offering a bunch of it up for trade, although no one is buying it, which is a little unfortunate, but we will see. I'm going to turn all this off. I will leave on improved work conditions. I like to run this. We might do one promise of peace as well, because early on we're going to be desperate for stability, and we don't really need as much war support early on. I don't like it because it does cost a lot of political power, and because it's 50 up front, and we lose some over time, and it really tanks our weekly war support. However, I think we might need a pretty substantial stability boost. We'll see. I'll leave it off for now. We'll see how it goes. I don't like the regular war propaganda. All right, let's do it. And what do we need to do the royal visit over here? Oh, we need to do power to the Tsar, which I don't think we're going to do, so I don't think that's going to be something we care about. Going on max speed for now, which is fine. It'll be interesting to see what our neighbors do. We'll try to keep checking on their ideas. The one thing I got to say with Turkey, a lot of their national focuses don't have names that, you know, I recognize in English, so I'm always like, wait, what is this? Oh, okay, you're doing airplane stuff. That's great, because Hava Okulu doesn't really do anything for me. It doesn't mean anything to me, which is, you know, possibly too bad, because it'll be a little bit more work to check up on stuff. Yeah, we got no info on Germany. Finish 5-year plan. Yeah, nothing exciting really to see. Oh my gosh! As I say that, the United Kingdom is going to organize the Black Shirts. They're going fascist. Wow. I mean, I don't know if that's guaranteed to go all the way fascist. Yeah, they're going change in course. So they already... Change in course, organize the Black Shirts. I mean, it's gonna... Yeah, mutually exclusive is this. So no, they are gonna go down here. Okay. What does that mean for us? Maybe I should be live streaming this. Get the live feedback. Well, it's going to be probably bad for France. The Comintern's going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting. It might actually be better for us. If the Allies don't show up, we might be able to sneak in some earlier wars without people joining the Allies. What I'm worried about, we're going to spend a lot of effort turning these guys next to us communist, and then they're just going to join the Comintern instead of joining our cool group. But maybe. Man, I don't know. I'm not exercising anyone. I think that's fine right now. We don't really have the material for it. Anyway, we're going to go improve the road system here, get some infrastructure slots, but more importantly, head towards our education boost. Ethiopia has capitulated. Fairly standard over there. Be interesting to see how Spain shakes out this game. Yes, mechanical computing for more research boost, please and thank you. And then we'll start to diversify up a little bit. So, in terms of doctrines, it'll be interesting to see exactly where you go. Of course, a couple of patches ago, the, what's it called? The Superior Firepower Doctrine got nerfed and some of the others got buffed. Because it used to be, no matter what composition you were going with, it turned out superior firepower was just by far the best. It wasn't, like, not balanced in any way whatsoever. It was just obviously so much better. Now it's really not the case. Yeah, there we go. Will they avoid a civil war? What's going to happen with the United Kingdom here? What was I just saying? Oh, yeah, the doctrines. For us, I think superior firepower is kind of tempting because we're not going to have a lot of manpower, but we're also not necessarily going to have the industrial base just to support all that. I'm wondering about Grand Battle Plan because it's not really reliant. If you go down the right-hand branch of, okay, yeah, Naval Treaty, attack, okay. If you go down the right-hand branch of the doctrines over here, it's mostly fairly generic infantry boost. And there's a couple other things here and there, but mostly it's not really reliant on having any specific equipment. On the left, it's a little bit more motorized-ish, you know, a tiny bit. I mean, there's some generic, but still a little bit of that. On the other hand, maybe we can do artillery. I don't think we're going to have the industrial bases to do tank stuff. Although, if we do go down here, if we go down the Soviet side... Yeah, right here. Purchase Soviet artillery, military vehicles, aircraft, armor. We might have ways of getting it, but... Oh, in any case, right now we're going to... They're pretty well balanced with one another. Dispersed industry is nice to not to have that retention on your production efficiency. Maybe I'll just go with the straight up output boost though. Yeah, we're definitely going to want some of that. Airplanes in the field, but we're not training them, and I think that's probably okay. We don't have a lot of fuel saved up right now. Improved road system, yes. So we do have the Tsar's Puppet over here, which is giving us some daily political gain and some weekly stability to help balance with some of the other losses. Getting worker strikes over here. Now, we, I think, are going to go communist. So both of them increases popularity communism. Both of them increases the faction popularity of the broad socialists, which is fine because we're not looking to smash them. This does lead to much longer strike than this, but this can lead to factories being smashed and things, and lower stability, which I don't want. So I think we'll go with that resolution there, even though it's not ideal. I don't want to repress the broad socialists. We're going to be doing just the opposite. We're going to be maxing out. Rhineland has been militarized. Okay. Pretty standard and typical, regardless of what Germany decides to do. And I think I'm going to go invigorate the national industry. I think I like this. It does increase the number of consumer goods factories we need, which is unfortunate, but... Heavy fighter focus, limited rearmament. Italy's got an unknown focus, railway gaps, Stalin constitution, native fighter designs, sectarian woes. Lignite liquefaction. What decision is available? We can improve worker conditions. I'm going to go for it. It does, you know, hit us in the factories for a little bit. You know, factory output goes down, consumer goods requirement goes up, but it will give us a fair amount of stability, which we are definitely going to need. I'm probably gonna run the worker conditions whenever it comes up. Construction 1 is done. It's not 37 yet. We're gonna hold off on these. I could get radio now. We're gonna want it for some stuff, but I actually think I'm gonna start working on a doctrine. Okay, we're gonna try superior firepower. We're gonna try to hopefully do some artillery stuff. Save some manpower. Try to invigorate an industry. I don't know if that was the right decision, but it is a decision, so it was made. That's logic. Yeah. Yeah, worker strikes, which is annoying. And then what was that? Oh yeah, the national industry, which is good for the civilian factory construction, which actually I suspect. Yeah, we'll be able to queue one up there afterwards. That's good. And then we should get, well, we'll get some other infrastructure boost, I think, in here. Yeah. We actually get a lot of infrastructure. We end up with a lot of room for factories as a result as well, because of the way the multipliers, the speed works, and all kinds of things. We've got quite a few decisions that will add some factories as well directly. I think as Bulgaria, actually, our industry may not be that bad. Alright, expand Sofia University. Boom. Done. Yes, let's finance the expansion of the university. Give us a research slot. That is going to be hugely good. And then I think we'll go into political stuff. I don't think we're going to press to, like, lift the rearmament stuff. Although... not immediately. It'd be nice if we don't have... As far as I know, we have no decisions early on that generate a war goal. We get a few more a little faster, and we get increased speed and reduced world tension requirements over on the right branch. We're not going to go in that direction. That's not what I'm planning anyway. So, I don't know. And right now, based on our government, we can't justify. We need 50% world tension currently to justify. So really doing like a speed run war deck isn't really viable. We don't have any justified wars anywhere as far as I know. Autosave, thank you. No, not really. Oh, there you go. Spanish Civil War has kicked off. Ooh, that is messy. That is messy. That might be bad for nationalist Spain, because these might get closed in right away. It depends. Meanwhile, for Republican Spain over here, well, it's just called Spain as opposed to Republican Spain, but I don't know how that's going to shake out, and it'll be interesting to see if the anarchists and the Carlinists get in, or Carlinists? Carlists? I don't know, Carlinists. It'll be interesting to see if they jump in on some of that as well. But we're going to go ahead and put a cut in here. World's going to shake up soon. We got a lot of work to do. It's going to be a long time before we begin fighting, by the way. This is going to be very... It might be in the 40s before we get into any kind of conflict. If it happens before that, it probably means, like, one of our neighbors decided to start a war against us, which is entirely possible. But fingers crossed that we have some time to build up before that happens. Thanks for watching, folks. If you're new to the channel, do, of course, subscribe if you can. You can hit the alert button, too, so you get an email when a new episode comes out. And likes and comments always make a huge difference. Thank you very much for making this channel be a thing. Love you all. See you next time. Bye-bye.